When the Republicans get power, they use it. North Carolina Republicans, who have been doing all they can to decimate black folks for the last couple of decades, approve new congressional and legislative maps that give them a huge advantage. Right now, there are 7 Democrats and 7 Republicans elected to the Congress from North Carolina. They want to change those maps to 10 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and a toss-up seat. They also are protecting the white woman who left the Democratic Party to join the Republicans, giving them a supermajority, allowing them to override the veto of Democratic Governor Roy Cooper. Folks, we've been telling you this what happens, and now remember, Republicans now control the state Supreme Court 5-2, which means that conservative Supreme Court likely will allow this map to go through, whereas the previous Democratic control Supreme Court likely would not have allowed it to move forward. State Rep Amber Baker joins us right now. Glad to have you here on the show. And again, we've been focusing on this for years, how dastardly and evil Republicans in North Carolina have been. They have been doing everything to change the lines, to gerrymander, political gerrymander, racial gerrymander, target black folks when it comes to voter ID, when it comes to cutting early voting days. And this is their latest effort.
Yeah, Martin, here we are again, Roland. I mean, the maps are horrible. They have taken and carved up districts. They've carved people out of their districts, literally drew around one of the senators' homes and drew her out. They've carved up the district to take the longest serving senator, Dan Blue, out of his district. They have split the Wilmington predominantly black precincts and put them into a Republican-leaning district, and it's all a part of their plan. And there's another piece that hasn't hit yet, but is coming, and they're coming after the college students. So we anticipate seeing that bill start to get some movement in a couple of weeks.
And I say this all the time, elections have consequences. 2018, Sherry Beasley was Chief Justice of the North Carolina State Supreme Court. She lost by 400 votes. Had she won that race, Democrats would control the state Supreme Court 6-1. She lost, it went 4-3. They then lost seats in 2022. Now Republicans control the Supreme Court by 5-2. And I say this, and I'm not worried about in terms of white voters or anybody else. What I'm saying about to black voters in North Carolina, if we turn out in our numbers, we stop Republicans from doing this type of evil.
Absolutely. You know, North Carolina is known as a purple district for a reason, and that is because we are fastly becoming Democratic leaning. So it is becoming increasingly more difficult for them to create supermajorities because we are Democratic leaning. And so we have the votes in the state to stop this. But whether or not people are motivated to get out and vote is a different situation. But extremely important that we find a way to motivate and push people to the polls. And don't forget, we have the voter ID laws now. Yeah. And so we have to make sure that people understand that now they have to go to the polls with an ID to be able to vote.
So here's what we're now faced with. The Supreme Court has already said they have no say-so on political gerrymandering. And so now, the only thing that could happen there in North Carolina, if various groups try to see if these maps, like we've seen today in Georgia, we've seen rulings in Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, Georgia as well. If the courts rule that this violates Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, that's the only thing really left, the racial gerrymandering issue. But again, this state Supreme Court, look, when they took over in January, they took up 3 cases that were just voted upon and overturned those. They have no problem, changing decisions when they begin to have power.
Absolutely not. That was the first thing that they did, and they forewarned us that if they were able to get the supermajority in both chambers, and I must remind people who maybe haven't been following this as closely, the supermajority in the Senate is by 2 votes, and the supermajority in the House is 1 vote. And so when we started this legislative session, we knew we had a slim margin, but we did have the ability to stop the vetoes until we had one of the defectors flip to the Republican side. So when we talk about the supermajority, we're not talking about some insurmountable number of seats to be able to stop this. One seat in the House, two seats in the Senate.
And let's just be clear so people understand, in that all of these things that we're now seeing right now in North Carolina, in terms of these maps, in terms of overriding the governors, because of this woman right here, Trish Cotham. She flipped, and then with Republicans, how they protected her, they have basically flipped her district some 25 points to guarantee she doesn't, because she was in a very blue district. They changed the maps to help her retain her seat.
Yeah, if you look at the district that they drew for her, it is still Democratic leaning, but it is definitely more competitive, and it looks like a snake. So they literally carved out a special district to ensure that she possibly could win her seat again.
Again, this is why what I keep saying to everybody who's watching and listening: we cannot sit at home. There are consequences. When I talk about connecting the dots, if you don't vote in state representative races, then who controls the House? If you don't vote in state Senate races, who controls the state Senate? But also black voters, and look, those are legislative districts. But in statewide races, there is no excuse for black voters not turning out. And so if we turn out in numbers, we can control the state Supreme Court, we can control statewide offices, and that's really what's critically important. So the next elections, when are the next elections in North Carolina? Are they in 2024?
Yes, we run every 2 years, so we filed in December. We adjourned yesterday until the end of November, but we have not completely closed out session. So that is why I'm thinking that there are some additional bills that they want to try to get passed before we actually.
Are there any state Supreme Court races on the ballot in 2024?
Yeah, there'll be 2 because we have Anita Earls, who is currently challenging and suing because they're trying to remove her from her seat. And we also have Mike Morgan, who has announced he will be running for governor. And so their seats, I think, will be up for 2024.
So what you have, but right now Republicans have 5 seats, Democrats have 2. So basically in 2024, you're trying to protect those 2 Democratic seats.
That's correct.
Got it. All right, then. Representative Baker, we appreciate it. We'll keep watching. We'll see what happens in your state. And again, I hope black folks there are paying attention because them sitting at home not voting does not help this situation.
And can I just say this too real quick, Roland, is that, we fought for the seat that is currently being held by Kathy Manning. And that seat was as a result of them not, us as black people not having fair representation. And so they had to create that district. Of course, she won it because, again, we were not strategic in putting forth the best candidate. So we canceled ourselves out. But they've completely demolished that seat, along with the seat for Jeff Jackson is gone. He announced today that he will not be running for re-election. He's going to run for Attorney General. And there was one other seat, too, that they just completely carved up their district and did away with the district. But Kathy Manning's district is really important because that was a seat that should have been held by an African American, and that district runs primarily through Greensboro.
All right, then. All right, well, we'll keep our eyes on the Tar Heel State. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.